Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carla Abreu, and I'm Community and Program Manager at Singularity University, Portugal, working together with Nova Bissau School of Economics in this initiative. Once again, I have the pleasure to be your host for today's webinar, an initiative that is part of the Role to Play campaign promoted by Nova SPE that aims to help our community to deal with the several challenges in the current context. Preparing for the new world, flip your mindset is the topic of this session, with Terry Emil from Singularity University, Portugal, and also teacher at Nova SBE. With a long experience in business leadership, Terry is also a great communicator that will inspire everyone to think out of the box because now everything has changed. Before we start, some technical information to our attendees. Feel free to use the Q&A area present in the bottom of your screen to ask your questions that will be answered in the end of this session. This chat is mainly used for technical issues. And now, to learn more about the topic of this session, I'll leave you with Terry.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Nova. And thank you, Singularity U Portugal. You know, when you talk about being a professor in a university, for me as a dropout at school, it's a really bizarre concept. I'm very happy to deliver this session today, and I really appreciate the enormity of what's going on in the world. And when I talk about preparing for the new world, I want to talk a little bit about what actually happens inside your mindset. You know, this for me is a great statement about this, that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. It really is that reality. You know, what we do right now and how we react to this new world will almost set our flag for the future. You know, I've been talking to a lot of people about this subject, and the one thing that is common is that everybody's in the same situation, you know, and everybody's going through very similar emotions. I deal with thousands of businesses. And right now, it's a lot about what really is inside your mind. When we talk about preparing for the new world, I want to talk a little bit about being mad. Now, I don't mean being crazy, or you would say maluco or malucas in Portuguese. Mad is, are you making a difference? Like, what are you doing right now? And what is it? How does it fit with what your cause is? Because what has changed? You know, what have you changed in your life? What have you changed in your business? And what have you really learned from this? And I've got to say, like, okay, I feel honoured and lucky to live in a beautiful country like Portugal where we've been very safe. You know, I'm actually looking at the ocean right now. It's an incredible place to be. I don't take it away from the fact that people have lost their lives, you know. But what have we taken from this whole thing? Like, for me, I've had highs and lows. It's been a roller coaster. How am I making a difference? And I think we'll make a difference by taking the great things that have come from this lockdown, or someone called it a cocoon. And I want to talk a little bit about fear. Now, I run an entrepreneurs club for kids, so ages 10 to kind of 17. And one of the things that we teach them is that fear is false evidence appearing real. And I love that statement, false evidence appearing real. There's a great book, actually, the title of the book says, What to Say When You're Talking to Yourself. Because it's very easy to get caught up on all this information that's coming. And look, if you watch the news every 15 minutes, it's the same stuff. So what's really happening inside your mind? And where does that fear come from? And, you know, I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship. I'm going to talk about change. I'm going to talk about how do you stay ahead of the curve? How do you almost get really creative in whatever situation that you're in? And I credit this next kind of link to the topic by a guy called Michael Heppel. Michael Heppel is an amazing speaker. He's an amazing author. He has an incredible book called The 5-Star Service on a 1-Star Budget. And he created this book called Flip It. And I listened to him speak about this, must have been 10 years ago. And flip it is where you take any situation that you're in right now and you just twist it, turn it on its head, and look at things in a completely different way. What will you get at the end of that? You actually become happier, because our mental state is so important right now, that you maintain that positivity. You increase focus because you are thinking, wait a minute, if I'm able to swap an idea around and change it, I'm able to do something about it. And I think great leaders have to create something like that right now. Great leaders have to almost be agile, have to be driven by change and welcome change. The challenge with the flip it concept is it lends itself to highly creative people like me. Now look, I know my weaknesses. I got plenty of them. Don't worry, you can ask my wife. I'm not a detail guy. I don't like the the financial stuff. But you give me any problem, any disaster, and I will flip that thing and turn it around. And I think what's important is that when we're looking at this entire concept of how people have really transformed their businesses and their lives, is to make sure that you're surrounded by the right people. Now, if I surround myself with a load of creatives, it's great, we've got great ideas, but in reality, do we get things done? We talk a lot about it. So I think it's important to make sure that I'm going to talk about networking, is really surround yourself with the people that can actually give you the compliments that you don't have. I want to talk about two scenarios that have been here in Portugal of the real example of flip it. So a friend of mine, a guy called Parlor, has this incredible company called Revenge of the 90s. Now, I'm sorry for the young people that are listening to this webinar today, but I'm 49 and I love 90s music. I kind of grew up on that stuff. And so I run an organization called BNI. It's the largest networking and referral organization in the world. And Paulo Silva, who owns Revenge of the 90s, is a member of my group. And then suddenly the lockdown came and everything was closed. No events, nothing. Now at that time, he was running 9 different brands inside his organization to do with events, and events just completely stopped. And I remember talking to him, I was like, how are you? He said, look, I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. Cancelled venues, tickets were bought. I mean, he had done an event where 5,000 people were at an event, I think it was up in Porto, suddenly to completely crash overnight. Now, this is where great leadership comes in, because if you've got the ability to take advice or to be agile and to move fast, that's the difference between success and failure. So I was watching, I was actually recommended by my niece who lives in Liverpool to watch this online thing called Bongo's Bingo. I know all these academics thinking, what's he talking about, bingo and Revenge of the 90s? But I was watching this show called Bongo's Bingo. And what these guys had done, they have similar events in Liverpool. They have thousands of people coming for mainly drinking and bingo stuff. But they had turned their business on television. And they had their mobile phones and people were playing bingo with their mobile phones. It was like, that's an idea for Paulo. So I took a picture of the screen, I sent him the link, and I said, look, I don't know if this is going to be something for you, but I think you should look at it, at least just take a look at it. In 7 days, he had completely flipped his entire business model. This is Paulo on the screen here with the T-shirt with the Revenge. They had created a studio, clearly obviously with social distancing and everything like that, but I think it's every 2 nights now, they have thousands and thousands of people interacting with them. Now, the thing I love about this particular business is that people want fun, people want hope, people want connection about something that's going to happen in the future. So, and when you get to party, you listen to memorable music, you're almost remembering what it was like in the past. So he has created the most incredible model around one idea. So if you can surround yourself with people who are creative, listen to those ideas, let them bring them in. Because I always love it when people often see your business or your situation in a different way than they do. Now, I talk about another Flip It Heroes, and I talk about BNI, because BNI is in 73 countries, 272,000 clients, and everybody meets face to face. I started BNI in Portugal in 2003. We started in Porto. We got groups all over the country. But every single week, people are getting together. There's 25 to 50 people in a room. And look, it really works in Portugal because people love to be close to each other. They love the proximity. You know, I was talking with Carla before. We really miss each other because I'm a hairdresser by profession. So I really like to be around people, and people give me energy. And it's just not the same on Zoom. And we understand that for now. So this business was like watching all of the figures, watching Italy, watching Spain. And I was really proud. I took all my franchisees and we said, look, we need to be completely agile here. We need to think about what's going to happen, and we need to get technical. Now, I'm pretty good at technical stuff, but we flipped our business in 48 hours. Everything went online, everything changed, but we needed to be motivational. We needed to deliver content that people would be engaged. The crazy thing about both of our businesses, myself and Parlor, is that we're growing in an economy where other people are not. Why? Because we direct our energy there, because we direct our passion, we direct our love and attention to people. And I think this whole idea of you preparing for the new world is looking at who and what are the dynamics of having great leaders. And I think it kind of also starts with, you know, what is your purpose? We talk a lot about that. It's Simon Sinek. It's people have been talking about it for years, but what's your kind of purpose? And I keep it really simple for me because I build teams, is that my purpose myself is to inspire people to be great. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. I know it's a kind of strange thing for me to say, but I believe in people more than they believe in themselves. I also get a buzz of connecting people together to either build a business or to build relationships. And the ultimate thing as a leader, as an entrepreneur, is to almost take action. How are we doing that in this new world? Well, at that point, we're not changing anything. And our story actually is the same. Our story stays the same because the only thing that's different is technology. The only thing that's different is that we are using a computer to communicate with. But interestingly enough, our story has been exponentially shared all over the world. No longer do I have to travel to Castelo Branco or do I have to go to the Algarve. Look, I love those places, but I had a meeting this morning at 6:45 in Sintra. We have people come from Elvas, we have people come from Porto. So suddenly you think, wait a minute, this whole idea that boundaries are now no longer there. You know, I held a meeting, we had 2,250 people on a Zoom call. Now look, you don't get any interaction. In webinars, you don't get interaction, but could you imagine creating such an impact? So when I talk about the what's your profound story? You know, what is it that your business or your being is all about, and how are you communicating that to people? I've probably had an interview a day since we locked down. People asking me about leadership or asking me about what's my opinion on things. And it's attracting tribes. You know, when I talk about tribes, I'm talking about putting people together in clusters for the greater good. And our vision actually, which was for our business here, was to almost double our membership. And when the COVID hit, we were like, wait a minute, this is going to completely kill our business. No, it's unbelievable, the change. The reason why it's exponentially changed is because we acted really fast. We acted fast and we decided not to sit down. You know, it's very easy to take the stresses of the world and to sit down and have that pressure on yourself. Don't accept that. Stop listening to that stuff that's going outside. And, you know, when you look at leadership right now, right, I mean, you can see the disasters on television. I'm not even going to get into that. But you think about the worst leaders. People want authentic leadership right now. People want vulnerable leadership. This is one of the talks that I do at Singularity University. It's if you can almost be open-hearted, tell people you're struggling, share with people that you're not good at stuff. You know, nobody likes a smart aleck. You know, people want to connect with people on a human level. So when you have authentic leadership and you can deliver your message with dynamic speeches, you know, I'm standing here, okay, I'm in my apartment, right? But when I speak, I give you everything. I'm not sat at a desk. I mean, you should see the setup here. It's a bit crazy, but, you know, be dynamic. People want that enthusiasm. I talked to my wife a few weeks ago. I was like, oh, you know, I'm kind of zoomed out. I was on a Zoom and I thought, you know what, I'm never going to have that hour back. It was so dull. We have got to be great. Now, it transforms cultures led by us, because when you are passionate that way, I mean, it's amazing when people give you that feedback. But I think the world will want more of that. The world will want more. So when you're talking about preparing for the new world, we have to learn how to become a better leader. At Singularity U, Portugal, we talk about tackling the world's grand challenges. One of my passions is young people. And myself and Tim Vieira had been planning for the last year or so Entrepreneurs Club for Kids. And we had got it ready. We had a discussion with the local camera here to launch it. And it was on the day of almost a lockdown. We had to lock elbows just to say hello. And it's like, that's my passion. My passion is to inspire and drive and work with young people. So people know me for that. And I'd like to know what it is that's your passion. What is it that's your thing? Now, right now, I think we have an opportunity to attract people. And one of the abbreviations or the formulas of my business has always been RTM. What does that mean? Recruit, train, and motivate. Or attract, train, and love. You know, because I think leadership is about really having passion for people, really having that authentic time that people really enjoy, you know. So right now, more than any time, we're having people coming towards us that want to be part of this thing. Why? Because it's about positive leadership. So when I talk about preparing for the new world, you have to look at what you were doing and enhance it even better, become a better authentic leader, have a better delivery, have a more enthusiastic delivery. People want that because we demand that right now. So vulnerable leadership, exponential networks and exponential impact is something that I talk about at Singularity University. Vulnerable leadership is something that there's an amazing speaker called Renee Brown, and she talks about being vulnerable allows other people into your life. And if you can really do that and connect with people and you have a clear vision, you have a clear direction, then anything is possible. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future, but I've got to tell you, I actually really like lockdown. I get to enjoy myself. I get to enjoy time with my teenagers. I get to enjoy my time with my wife. I can open a glass of wine, maybe every night. I mean, wine o'clock is becoming earlier. Who cares? But I said to my wife last week, I said, you know, I'm actually really happy. So when I talk about preparing for the new world, like, what was the last world like? Like, I called one of my friends who's insanely successful. And I said, look, what are you going to do? It's all crazy. Oh, he said, chill out. He said, listen, you'll be worried about 3 months' time. You'll be worried that you got too much work. I have never worked so hard to maintain the passion in the business. Now, I want to talk about 5 levels of leadership. I love this concept with this book. And the 5 levels of leadership is a mindset for me. So level 5 being obviously the best and level 1 being the worst. So when I talk about level 1 is life sucks. It's everybody else's fault. It's a blame culture. Level 2 is my life sucks. So it's your fault. You ruined my day. Level 3 is, look at me, I am great. And I don't even have to tell you who that leader is right now, but it just does not resonate with the world. Level 4 is, we are great. It's better, but it still means that other people are not great. The ultimate way for me to run leadership is, life is great. Life is beautiful. And if you can convey that positivity, if you can convey that passion to others, you will live in the abundance. You will live in that moment that actually it's okay. And stuff is going to happen to us. We're going to have challenges. We know that. But this is the time to get organized. This is the time to embrace those things. What is your story? Share your story with people. Build networks. And I don't mean just get lots of people around your network. What I'm talking about is really build deep relationships. You know, I had some, obviously everybody has time, right? So I had some time to kind of clean out my databases and look at my Outlook and all that stuff. And I thought, there's 57,000 people there. I haven't spoke to some of these people for 7 years. So now I've kind of created the right people for the right cause, you know. I believe that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Hang around with people who are smarter than you, who are better than you, because they're gonna pull you up. And this links to the 6 degrees of separation actually becoming much smaller, because we have access through no boundaries, no borders, because of Zoom. And I'm delighted, like I'm really proud and honoured to be part of Nova as a professor, as they call me, and for Singularity. Like, if you would, my teachers at school would say, are you joking? Have you broken into the university? They would probably say. So I'm really honoured to be part of that. And this creates exponential impact, because if you can make a difference to one person's life and inspire them, and hopefully you're inspired by something that we say today, something like become the leader that your teams want you to be, like dream of, by showing your vulnerability. You know, it's okay not to be okay. The mental health side of things, it's okay to be like that. Don't be afraid of that. And when you share that, and when you share that with your friends, I've had 5-hour Zooms with friends just talking about that stuff. And it's so important as a leader just to communicate with your people. So I would say, who are you hanging around with? Are you, because you are the average of the people that you associate with. Oh, by the way, are they pulling you up or are they dragging you down? You know, because you have people that always are in a negative mode, and you've got to make sure that you surround yourself with great people. Now, I really love to do this, and I kind of don't like webinars because I can't see you do it, okay? But participate with me, okay? Cara, you'll be laughing at this, but everybody do this, okay? If you're driving, don't, because you're going to crash the car, right? So on your wrists, you'll have lines just here, okay? What I'd like you to do is get the lines of your bottom of your palms and just put them exactly like this, okay? And then close your hands. What you will have, you should have one hand slightly shorter than the other, okay? So what I'd like to do is take the shorter hand and take it 6 inches to your face. I don't care who's watching you, it doesn't matter, you're probably in a Zoom anyway. So you're gonna tell that hand to grow 8 times, okay? Now I'm kind of watching you have to participate. So we're gonna, after 3, we're gonna tell it to grow 8 times, okay? So grow, 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 okay? Shake your hands out. Now, what I'd like to do is really pay attention, okay? Put the lines exactly together again and slowly, really slowly, close your hands. What you focus on is what you get. If you focus on growth, you focus on positivity, you will get what you focus on. Be the change. If anything's got to change, it's got to change in here. You're the only one that can control this entire situation. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Okay, thank you. Terry Hamble.
Thank you so much, Terry. I would like to say 3 words: inspire, network, people. These are the key message that I got in my mind, and I believe in you, and you know that. So now this just pass to the Q&A just to check the questions. We have one question. Okay. In fact, the new future is here to stay. What do you think about this new future?
I think I kind of hope from a business perspective, I hope it will be a kinder future. I hope it will be a more open future, a more considerate future. Is that we consider, we were very much a throwaway society where, let's travel there, let's do this, because everybody has to look at their finances, right? So you have to kind of look at really what are you spending and why are you doing that? And even, I think from a human perspective, I believe that we will come out of this much more focused on what really, really matters. And if you can align a business with that, or you can align your attitude towards that, that's what will lead you to success, I believe. If you want to try and just sell to people, if you want to try and undercut people, if you want to try and be dishonest, you will not survive, because people are more sensitive about great leadership and more sensitive about great service. And look at the stories of the great companies that have really taken care of their teams, their staff. The ones that have kind of fired everybody and the ones that have really cared. Those decisions are for a long future sort of thing. So that's what I believe in.
Okay, second question. Change requires creativity. But what if you are not creative? Will you make it?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. If you are surrounded by all creatives, you kind of get all like crazy. Well, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Yeah, and then nothing happens. So I like if you just get stuck and you have this mental block, try and find someone in your network that is that kind of creative person. Link into them. Drag in from their energy. And I get energy from people who are the opposite to me as well, and I do give them time to listen to give me their perspective, because often their perspective is right. My wife is always right. It took me a long time to realize it, but she's always right. She knows the details. So if you can have both, so if you're not creative, try and find someone who has that energy, or call me. I'm always happy with a glass of wine and for some ideas. So anytime.
Okay, we have one more question. I'm hoping the future becomes a combination of in-person and virtual. Do you feel that this has forced many to work more virtually? And do you feel a combination is the best outcome?
Yes, and yes. I love the hybrid idea, right? I mean, even just look at our business model with B&I is that every single week we would go to a physical meeting. I'm okay if we have a mixture of online because of time management and lifestyle, and offline. I think, Carla, you would agree with me here. Human beings need connection. We need to be together. I really miss. We were with friends yesterday, and it was like, oh, should I hug you? He's like, oh, you know what? Just give me a hug. And it was the longest hug ever, So I think the combination of sensible hugging and the digital world, I think, will open up doors. And you have to be good at this stuff. You can't be dull at digital. You have to know your stuff. I've got an iPad here, I've got a phone here, I've got this. You've got to get good at that stuff. And it's really interesting to see older people, my mother-in-law, really connecting through digital. So I think, but look, we're human beings. We need to be together. We need to be together at some point.
We have one last question from Luis Chegado. If you are in a room with persons that believe that happiness is not good for the business, then I guess you recommend to change the room also.
Nice question.
That's a good question.
Depends which is the boss, right?
Well, it depends on if they're crazy happy or it's Louise, you can walk into a room and you can feel that there's some people that just suck the energy out of that room like a Hoover. Just stay away from them. Like, they don't have any purpose in your life. And I've kissed a few frogs in my time, and what that means is I've hung around with people who just sucked everything out of me, the whole thing. And when you get a little bit older, you get to realize that you don't even have to have those people. But you also need some serious people. Otherwise, if you're laughing all the time, you might not get the job done. But, I think in a time like this, even though it's a crazy crisis and everything, if you can laugh, then that will carry you through. And if you can be positive, that will carry you through for the future.
Okay, thank you so much, Terry. We still have here one question. I think we can go for it. Yeah, let's go. Last question from Sophia. Right now, the challenge we face in companies is the teams working in silos. We are trying different ways of running virtual coffees, but none of them seems really to result. Any tip to recreate the casual conversations that usually happen in an office?
Yeah, so for example, next week I have 2 days with the Nova Masters students I'm teaching networking. It's a matter of life and death. But what I'm doing is I'm doing interactive tools. For example, Google Jamboard, collaborative Google Docs. Make sure you've got the right person leading that team. There's an amazing platform called 16 Personalities. If you just go to 16personalities.com, get everybody to do their personality profile, and then let the people who shine do it and the people who don't do it, so you have good communication. So there's a lot of technology out there, but sometimes maybe don't overthink it. Don't do too much. Just let people enjoy the space. Sometimes the silence is all right as well. Sometimes the gaps are okay. But be good to yourself. The one thing I said in this presentation is I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. It comes from that I never believed in myself for a long, long time. And when I meet people like Carla, I meet people at Singularity and at Nova, and they give you that inspiration, is to hang around with those people. And if you're with those people, your silos will become much more exciting places to be.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you really, really for your enthusiastic and for still believe that it's possible to live in this changing world every time, but we have to have hope and we have to keep going. So thank you once more for this webinar. I would like to remind that this initiative is part of the Role to Play campaign promoted by Nova SBE, and you can find all the videos from the previous webinars at the website rolletoplay.novasbe.pt. Tomorrow we will have another session at 6 p.m. We will have 3 amazing speakers, António Alvarenga, Diogo Almeida and Pedro Brito from Nova SBE. They will be talking about scenarios and the future. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.